Sunday evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Danger Zone. I am your host, Ken Moore. I will be joined shortly by my partner, Floyd B. We got a lot on the Sunday evening plate here tonight. The preseason is over. Time to strap on the big boy pants for the NFL. College football is fully in swing as they got kicked off yesterday. And you know what that means for your boy. I go back to work in a couple of weeks. Also, FoxSports 1, a little shakeup in their daily lineup. We talk about all of that and more next, coming up on the Danger Zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone.
Punk, you're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the
You're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the
You're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone.
Punk, you're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the
You're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the
You're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the
You're in the danger zone.
You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone. You're in the danger zone.
Good Sunday evening, everyone. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Ken Moore. We are in the house for another edition of the Danger Zone, the final preseason edition of the Danger Zone as the NFL ball clubs finished it up today. 53-man cuts are already underway for some teams. I'm sure the Titans will get to theirs later tonight or tomorrow. We should start to see some names trickle in for those who will not make the roster. But a solid performance today by the Titans, particularly on the offensive side of the football, as they defeat the New Orleans Saints 30-27 to end the preseason undefeated. Now, we'll break down the game here today. But first and foremost, we definitely want you guys to be involved in the show. So if you are new to the show, if you have not subscribed to the show, we would definitely want you guys to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell, and we will be able to get you heavily involved in the show because you definitely want to be a part of the show as we move into the regular season. Now, let's get to the action today for the Titans. A lot of good, some concerning, some bad. So we'll break it all down for you. First, the good, the offense. Will Levis, he shone brightly today. Sacked 7 of 8, 118 yards, 2 drives, 10 points. Sorry about that, I got a little distracted. 2 drives, 10 points. Now, it must be noted that the Saints did not play any of their starters today. They played their backups, second, third, fourth string. So the Titans were mainly going against their backups. The Titans had their entire offensive line in the ball game for the entire first half. The skill position players played the first 2 series, and then you started to see some backups come in on both sides of the ball. Also, the Saints did not blitz at all today in the first half. I didn't see one single blitz by the New Orleans Saints. I know Bill Callahan, Brian Callahan, they wanted to play their starters today, hoping to get some looks from a Dennis Allen defense that may be able to challenge the offensive line of the Titans. But unfortunately, that did not happen. The Titans went up mostly against a vanilla defense in the New Orleans Saints this afternoon. And thus, you saw the offense be able to go pretty easily up and down in that first half. Now, that's not to take anything away from what the offense did, because that's exactly what you're supposed to do. If you're a starting offensive unit and you're going up against a second and third string defensive unit and they aren't showing you anything defensively really to challenge you, you should be able to go up and down the field with ease. And that's what the Tennessee Titans and that first team offense did today. We saw a couple of big plays from Calvin Ridley. Good to see him. He looks fluid. He looks fresh. He looks like he's in, mid-season form right now. So Calvin Ridley looks to be a big part of this offense. Tony Pollard got the start today at running back. He played the entire first series. He looked pretty good. I expect him to be a big part of this offense as well. Buddy of mine called me about fantasy football, asked me what the Titans were going to be doing at the running back position. I was like, it's, more than likely it's going to be 50-50 by committee. But it looks like Tony Pollard will be your starter going into the season. The tight end position, little shake up there this afternoon. We saw one of the young guys get a couple of catches there in the first half today that we had not seen much of in the first half. So that was a good look as well. Titan South in the house, and Will only had one incompletion today. Yep, he was 7 of 8, as we mentioned. Will Levis looked real good. I see my boy Floyd B getting his computer straight, so we'll bring him in momentarily. I also got my eyes on this Astros game as they are playing against the Baltimore Orioles right now on ESPN. But as far as back to the Titans, again, Will Levis looked very good in the first half in his 2 outings. The offense operated smoothly. The offensive line did what they were supposed to do. And overall, they did a really good job on those first 2 drives. Mason Rudolph came in and took over for Will Levis on the 3rd drive. He was able to move the team down, get a field goal on the 3rd possession, got a team into position at the end of the half for an opportunity at a long field goal attempt that came up just short and nearly turned into a kick 6 for New Orleans. But a couple of great hustle plays by a couple of Titans, including NPF, our big offensive lineman, who was helping chase down the return guy, and they were able to knock him out of bounds inside the 5-yard line and prevent a touchdown at that point. But Mason Rudolph has been outstanding. He looks like he's clearly the QB2 on this roster. And if something were to happen to Will Levis, I would feel very comfortable with Mason Rudolph having to go into a ball game or even having to play 2 or 3 ball games. We saw what he did for the Pittsburgh Steelers last year, getting them into the playoffs at the end of the season and looking pretty good in his 1 playoff game. Finally, Malik Willis came in to end the show. He played really well today. A much-needed performance for Malik Willis. Got 2 touchdown passes to Oliver, 1 in the final minute and a half of the ball game, 3 or 4 51 yards, 2 touchdowns for Malik Willis today. So now the decision for Coach Brian Callahan is, will the Titans keep 3 quarterbacks on their roster, or will they only go with 2 and then try to find some guys to stay on the practice squad? But a big day today for Malik Willis. I think we have my boy Floyd B. My buddy, How's that audio and video working for you over on the south side of town?
Hey, man, look here. Sound like you trying to cap on me, man. Ain't nothing wrong with my boy, yo. I had to go get me a snack. That's what I had.
Oh,
Yeah, since you want to know, since it's so important to you on what I'm doing over here, I went and got me a snack. That's what I went.
Hey, we're on the clock, baby. We're on the clock.
Well, okay.
Yeah, you gotta take that on your lunch break, bro.
Hey, look here, bro. I will not let anyone overwork me. That's my motto.
Hey, you're not gonna miss a meal, that's for sure.
Show you right. Show you right.
Sure. No doubt, no doubt. So I don't know how much, if any, you got to see of the Titans this afternoon. But again, as I mentioned, they went against mostly a vanilla defense and Dennis Allen and the New Orleans Saints. They didn't show anything today, defensively. I don't even think they called a single blitz in the first half against our first and second team unit. So that was kind of disappointing. I wanted to see the offensive linemen have an opportunity, to face some stunts and face some blitzes and some different looks, but they didn't get that this afternoon.
I think it kind of was sort of like a scrimmage, kind of, because I've heard announcers say, that head coaches have talked and saying that they weren't going to do this and they weren't going to do that, So we got to just take what we see, and trust my eyes and what I seen today. And I saw some consistency. I did. I'm not, taken away or blown away by it because it's the Saints and it was so manila, man. Like the Saints didn't try to do, like anything, man, to be competitive or to make anyone give a little bit more effort, man. All these guys out there was trying to be the last guys to make this team, to make them teams, man, to make the 43-man roster cut. But from what I seen, hey, man, it was efficiency, across the board by both quarterbacks. I know you drinking the Kool-Aid when you saying you're comfortable with Mason Rudolph in a game here or there. And maybe so, hopefully you won't have to get that far to deal with Mason Rudolph. But, hey, he is a serviceable backup. You can put him out there and he can run an offense. And it's really important, man, to have two. And real talk, three quarterbacks that can go out there and run your offense. Right now, the way it is, man, how these guys going down, and 49ers showed us that 2 years ago when they got down to Brock Purdy, because of injuries, man. So it's good to have, guys that can take some snaps, man. Not have to be, over glorified backups because they're backups for reasons. But again, I heard you say that, and then I had to think about it. Man, can I get a game out of Mason Rudolph? Yeah, you can get a game out of Mason Rudolph. You can get a game out of him. So, taking that from there, he was very efficient. But to be honest, man, I was happy for Malik Willis, man. I was happy for Malik Willis, Ken. Because that last slant zip, he zipped that, man.
He did. Yeah. Man, I was so proud. Man, I swear it was like I was watching my kid, man. I promise you. Because so many times in that situation, we've seen Malik pull that ball down and take off and run or take a sack or do something. But he really stood in that pocket, man. He stood in that pocket. He went through progression number 1, progression number 2, came back to the backside and hit the slant for the touchdown. I was so proud of him in that moment, man.
Well, I think the slant was option 1, but the main thing was having patience and when to hit him with it. I think that was option 1. I really could, man. He had some zip on that, man, and I like that. Having it been option 1, 2, 3, 4, I like that he made a play, man. He showed that he can throw the football, man. You know me. I'm always pulling for the brother to be under the quarterback. I don't care what team he play for. It doesn't matter to me when it comes to that. But man, I was glad to see that from him, man, because he was a brother that was taken in a draft that was referred to as a weak quarterback draft, and it has proven to be that yet. It was a weak quarterback draft. So happy for him, man. You should keep 3 quarterbacks on your roster. And I think that's good. It's just your third quarterback going to be inactive a lot of games. He's going to be inactive a lot of games, but you need that. Third string quarterback can practice on your practice squad. He can do that. So 3 quarterbacks is definitely needed. I think you got him. I've seen enough from all 3 of them today. Oh, you got them. From what we've seen and what you played against the Saints today and what the Saints displayed out there. I'm so disgusted with the Saints. I'm so disgusted with them, man. I mean, bro. The Saints, the Patriots, and probably Carolina, man. They're the worst team in the league, man. If they're gonna be scuffed to see who get the first win. I really believe that, man. And I'm just disgusted with that that organization, man. Once Sean Payton stepped away and they just dumped this in Dennis Allen, man, and hold on to him for this long, man. So I'm just disgusted with them. They definitely had their window. Ken. They had their window. So it's had far so passed them by. I'm just trying to see which direction that they're going to go to. I'm predicting Dennis Allen to be the first coach fired this season.
He very well could be.
Nobody want nobody to lose job because families and livelihoods and all that's on the line. But just
his contract's guaranteed. He'll be all right.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
He'll be all right. But now, man, my wife is a huge Saints fan. I know she was watching the game downstairs. I was upstairs in my office watching it while I was working this afternoon. And she's not too excited about this season. We're kind of both in the same boat, and the teams, not much is expected from the Titans or the Saints this year. I think the Titans are in a much better situation than New Orleans because we do have a new coach. We have a new general manager. We got some pieces in place where if things fall the right way, we can see some success in Nashville, where I think with the Saints, you got Derek Carr, whose probably time is done. You got Dennis Allen again, who's probably his time is coming to an end probably at the end of this year. So it's going to be a slow, steady rebuild for the New Orleans Saints. Now, I want to get into, because in my old show, the Titans Today, after I had a segment called The Good, the Bad, the Concerning. So we just talked a little bit about the good, which was the offense. Tony Pollard looked good today. Coming out of the backfield. So I'm more anticipating seeing him play. I was very down on that signing. If you remember when we signed Tony Pollard, I was like, man, what the hell are we doing? But I see it looks like he may be back to form when he was sharing time with Zeke and Dallas. So I'm cool with that for right now. But man, what I saw from Rashard Weaver today, the Titans' backup edge rusher, was pathetic. Number 99 in white was bad today. I put a couple of clips on my Twitter page, on my X page. So if you guys missed the game and you want to go check it out, you can go follow me on X at Kmore Sports. This guy got pancaked at least twice today on the edge by backup tackles for the New Orleans Saints. He dropped back in coverage one time and looked completely lost, looked completely slow on defense. The Titans are going to have a problem at linebacker if anything happens to Harold Landry or Arden Key, because Rashard Weaver is supposed to be your third guy, and he's been outplayed by a 6th-round draft choice so far this entire camp. And I would not be surprised if Rashard Weaver is one of the cuts tomorrow based on what he put on tape today. You cannot go out there and do what he did today in the final preseason game. I don't know if he thought he had a job locked up. Maybe he does have a job locked up because of the talent in the linebacker room. But I would not be surprised to see Rashard Weaver get cut tomorrow.
You could be right. You could be right. But again, there were a lot of teams today today and yesterday that played their starters. And then, I think pretty much split around the league on who played their starters and who shouldn't. And I did agree that the Titans are one who should have played their starters on some, and they did play them the whole first quarter. I don't take a whole lot from that. Especially when especially defensively when you really Manila on defense. But you looking at it more, this is your team, and you can see more when someone is hey man, we just like we doing walkthroughs versus somebody's giving help.
Like you're going through the motions,
Yeah.
You're not a starter, bro. You're a backup. You're trying to win a job.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I felt when I was looking at the Texans yesterday with their third and fourth string guys. My thing about them was looking at was just not just. There's a reason why they're playing for third and fourth string spots on a roster. There's a reason for that. But my thing is, are they smart? It's a different to be outplayed physically or something of that matter, but to be outthought on a field. Are they blowing plays? Are they blowing coverage? That's what I'm looking for. Even though you're a third stringer, do you know the system? Can you keep up well enough? Maybe not to make the play, but not to give up the big play too, as well. And that's what I be kind of looking for. That's what I was looking for in the Texans the other day when I was looking at them. Was are we looking at it blown coverages? How much is it? Because we know a lot of things in Manila, but some things, blown coverages, that ain't Manila. That you done got lost, brother. And I think that's what you were saying about Weaver. He just looked like he was lost, like it wasn't just a walkthrough, like he truly, was out of place or out of position today. When you saw him, maybe I don't know if you didn't see no effort or anything.
I didn't see a lot of effort, man. I didn't see a lot of effort. It looked like he was slow. Looked like he just looked like he didn't look like an NFL player today. He did not look like an NFL linebacker. And look, man, we both know football is hard. This is a hard game. And if you've never played or, I ain't been anywhere close to the NFL, but I did play in college. And it is a hard game, particularly in the box. In the box, it's hard, man. And I don't say anything that I say lightly, but I did not see a guy who wanted it today. I didn't see a guy who had that dog who wanted it today. And that's what concerns me. Now, I know it's a preseason game, and you say, hey, I'm trying to save it for the regular season, and I get all of that. But, man, I need to see some want. I need to see some dog. And what I'm seeing for number 92, 6th-round pick, that looks like my third edge rusher over Rashard Weaver right now. So, like I say, I don't know how the coaches are going to take it, but I would not be surprised. He might be one of those surprise cuts tomorrow when we open it up.
And I'm quite sure some of those guys that played out there today were already sure-ins. I'm quite sure, but they needed the reps. But again, I saw the Titans move the ball well today. You can't, the eyes can't lie, but I didn't get too overwhelmed about it because I want to see them on a first team defense. Let me see, can you really, because you were running the ball. They ran the ball well today, man. They ran the ball well today. And I think that the identity of the Titans have definitely changed because of Callahan coming over there from under Zach Taylor, who come from McVay. So the running back position may not be that workhorse position that you guys have had and been so spoiled with throughout the years with Derrick Henry and then previously Eddie George and company. You guys have always had that big back. And I think now the times has changed. So we're gonna have to see how it works with Spears. I like Spears. But I don't think that you're gonna be successful if you thinking you're gonna get 25 carries a game per those guys. You may get it combined, them guys combined, but just a workhorse. I think those days for the Titans are gone. I think they're gonna use them guys a lot, catching the ball, you know. Going back to Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon was hurt a lot in Cincinnati, but he was successful. But he was more of a brute. He's a big back. He's not a scat back. He didn't do a lot of things out of the backfield, catching the ball. So it's just interesting to see how the Titans running game is going to be, because I think the whole key to the Titans this season, especially early on, is how well they run the ball and how well they stop the run.
I think stopping the run is not going to be a problem at all, because T'Vondre Sweat was another guy who had a big game today, particularly on those first two drives. You saw him just destroying the Saints up the middle, had a couple of big stops on inside running plays. He hadn't played one snap this preseason next to Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons, we thought, would play today. He did dress out. Him and Harold Landry dressed out today. And there were reports before the game that both of these guys may get a little action, but they did not. And I was very happy with that. I didn't want to see either one of those guys on the field because I don't need them getting hurt in the final preseason game. But you are not going to be able to run inside against Jeffrey Simmons and T'Vondre Sweat. You also saw T'Vondre Sweat get in the backfield, nearly forced the interception because he put so much pressure on the quarterback. So I think that's a guy that is going to have a chance to be a Pro Bowl level player, I think, his rookie year in T'Vondre Sweat. Kenneth Murray actually showed me something today at the inside linebacker position. I wasn't high on that signing, but there wasn't much out there at the inside linebacker position. I think the Rams announced today that their inside linebacker may be up for trade. I forget his name right now, but then it looks like their contracts talks have stalled with him. So that may be a guy that the Titans may look to make an offer for, in the coming days before the season starts. But all in all, we'll see what happens with the defense. Back to the offense, my concerning point when you're talking about the running backs is that we did show a little more than I anticipated today from an offensive perspective. I think we ran about 3 screen plays, which I think are going to be a really big part of the offense. So
absolutely,
I wasn't too happy that we put that on film today for the Chicago Bears to see. And look, man, let's keep it a buck. What the Titans saw against the Saints today defensively will be night and day from what the Chicago Bears defense throws at Tennessee in 2 weeks. That defense is going to throw everything in the kitchen sink at this very young offensive line and our very young quarterback. So I'm cautioning fans now. Don't expect the Titans to be going up and down the field against Chicago the way you saw them go up and down the field again today against the Saints. I think that game is probably going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's probably going to be one of those games that's like 20-17, 17-16, something like that. I would not expect a high-scoring game when they go up against Chicago. I've been watching Chicago on Hard Knocks. I don't know if you've been watching them, but I've been very impressed.
Well, they've been on every preseason, every game they had. Somebody had them on TV, so you get a chance to see him. He's the number 1 pick. So the Bears got a lot of off-season publicity, and then the Hard Knocks. I glance at Hard Knocks. I've never been a fan of it, but I would glance in if it's a team that I want to follow. That's.
And I've mainly been watching them because that's our week 1 opponent. So I've been kind of doing some scouting. You know what I mean?
I'm very impressed with you right now, brother. I'm very impressed with you, man. I have to tell my hat to you, brother, that you're not getting food, you're not drinking the Kool-Aid. You understand that the success of them today is nothing what they're going to see in week 1 against the Chicago Bears. I was going to also give flowers to your center that you got from Denver that I was very high on. He's a very good center, man. He really showed today. He was blocking, man. The boys was able to get some tough yards, man, 4-5 yards, man, and it was always cut back inside to him, coming behind him. So he looked it good, man. He actually did. But again, I'm not gonna drink the Kool-Aid. I'm gonna give praise to what I see, call it like we see it today. But I'm not gonna drink a whole lot about it. Opening day against the Bears. I am picking the Bears opening day to beat Tennessee. And we'll get to that probably next week sometime when we go. I was going to begin to do our weekly little thing that we're going to have to stay on point with, my brother. But again, I am picking them to beat the Tennessee Titans opening week. But again, they're not going to see, like you said, they didn't see nothing today that they will remotely see against the Bears, and vice versa. But again, I like what I saw. I like Ripley getting out there. I like Tyler Boyd caught a few catches on the sideline. I like it, man. I like what I saw. Levens actually looked like he knew where he was throwing the football. He actually did. It was good, but I'm not gonna drink it. I'm not drinking it yet. No,
it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, I mean, look, all off season, I've said we're gonna beat the Bears in week 1, so I'm not coming off that prediction. But it's not based on what I saw today. Okay. Let's go around the NFL. Let's talk about what your Houston Texans did on yesterday. You guys played
the Rams.
The Rams yesterday.
The Rams.
Talk to us a little bit about what you saw with the Texans yesterday. What were some of your takeaways from that ball game?
Really, guys like Mechie, kind of like, made that wide receiver core kind of hard on who's going to make it, who's going to be the odd man out. Word out there that Noah Brown probably be the odd man out. They really high on keeping the veteran Robert Woods. Xavier Hudson is a sure on the team. You're gonna have a lot of people watching who the Texans release in that wide receiver room that the Texans have. But basically, I want to see were they smart. I knew they wasn't going to be a whole lot of spectacular plays for that matter. Everything is Manila guys is just trying to make the roster, so it's not like they not giving any effort. But I just want to see how smart they were, and then not blown coverage, and not get caught in the backfield on the screen. Maybe hit the wrong hole, not stand. That's what I was looking for. And I saw some penalties yesterday, defensively, that made me say, okay, is the third stringers, how smart are they? You can be out, man, just flat out skilled, but to be out skilled and to lose the thinking battle too, you can't lose them both. So that's what I was getting out of with the Texans yesterday. I didn't see any blown coverages, but I did see some penalties on the defensive side of the ball. I'm impressed with the backup guy. What's his Todd? What was the guy?
Quarterback?
Yes.
Named Bo?
Yeah. I mean, I like him. He can make the roster. He puts Casey Keenum, all through camp. Once they realize that David Mills ain't the answer, he's not the answer. He won't be the answer. So I'm okay with Casey Keenum and boys backing up CJ. I'm okay with that. It's just pretty much the same way with like a Mason Rudolph. Those guys can give me a game or two here or there if needed. I hope I don't need them at all. I hope they don't take a snap all season. To be honest, which I hope they don't have to. But other than that, again, I saw improvement with Kenya Green, the first round pick out of A&M from 2 years ago. He finally looking like he's an NFL player. That's his job.
Is he?
Yes.
Finally
looking like an NFL player. And so it's just interesting to see him going up against first team defensive front lines, man. He showed in camp that he's the guy and gave him every opportunity. He didn't drop the ball. And so we're looking well from that end. No Larry Tunsil as usual. I don't know. Larry Tunsil is rated high on a lot of people's lists. He's an all-pro, first or second team all-pro. Been like that for 2 or 3 seasons, even when we was terrible down here. I'm not big on Larry Tunsil. Larry Tunsil is the reason we suffered for 3 years, man. Because that was when Bill O'Brien first started that bull crap. when he gave up all that to Miami for Larry Thompson. That was the beginning of the end right there. Is he a top left tackle in the league? Yes. But he's not. No, he's not that guy to me. No, he's not Trent Williams. No.
I'm glad to hear you say it, man, because I've always said he's one of the most overrated guys in the NFL.
Yes,
he's paid like a Hall of Famer.
Yes. And it's always, somebody's always bidding for him or asking for him. But to me, he was never that guy. He's all pro. I think he was all pro last year too. I think second team all pro, if I ain't mistaken. So I'm just saying, yes, I just always thought he was just overrated, and I think he missed a lot of games too. And he missed a lot of important.
78.
Yeah.
Holden, number 78.
Yeah. And to me, he missed important games, man. He missed important games, man. So that's why I'm at with Larry Thompson, man. So hopefully, man, we can fortify. No Joe Mixon this whole offseason is a high concern to me.
It should be a high concern.
High concern for me. But, damn it, I like Cam Akers. I like what I saw in Cam Akers. Can we get the Rams Cam Akers pre-injury, man? If we can get that, man.
Hey, man, I was talking to a buddy of mine who's a big Cowboy fan.
Yeah.
He cannot understand for the life of him why the Cowboys didn't sign Cam Akers when they don't have any running backs. They starting Zeke Elliott, I believe, is going to be their starting running back. And they could have went out and got Cam Akers. And he's just wondering why in the world Jerry Jones didn't go get Cam Akers. I like Cam Akers when he was with the Rams. I know he's gone through some injuries, so I definitely hope he's bounced back from that. And look, he may be your week one starter against the Colts.
Listen, if Mixon can't go, it won't be Dameon Pierce. It shouldn't be Dameon Pierce. It shouldn't be. Cam looked good, man. He looked good this whole offseason, the whole preseason. Cam Akers looked good, man. And he earned a spot on this team, man. And we see where we go from there, man. Let's push this thing around the league, man. Touch some more bases, man. We got to try to touch. We got to try to reach all nationwide, man. We're not gonna just rely on the AFC South right now. Let's crank this thing up, man. Go around the league, boss. Let's get it going.
Hey, man. So we had the big earlier this week. We had the big discussion with Tua of Miami. Tua Tagovailoa had his comments about his former head coach, Brian Flores, who's now a defensive coordinator with the Minnesota Vikings, or defensive coordinator or defensive line coach? I think defensive coordinator. Defensive coordinator with the Vikings. And I'm sure most of you have already seen, Tua's comments, calling, saying how Brian Flores treated him when he was the coach there. And you heard Brian Flores kind of own it. He didn't make any excuses. He owned it. And, said he has to do better. And, he doesn't want anyone to think that of him. But, he wishes the best for Tua going forward. And, he's learned from that situation and he hopes to be a better coach for it. My position was I wholeheartedly believe Tua. I wholeheartedly empathize with Tua because I lived that reality during my high school playing days with my running back coach and my junior varsity head coach, where it was nothing but negativity, cuss you out, tell you suck. We had the same last name, told me that he hated me because I had his last name. So, so I empathize with that type of stuff, and I do empathize with the fact that, I do understand the benefit of positive reinforcement. I also understand the benefit of being coached hard as well. But you can do both. You can coach hard and you can get in somebody's ass but then you can also give them positive reinforcement as well to make them a better version of themselves. And so I hope for Brian Flores, who I've always been a big fan of. I thought he did a great job in Miami overall when he took over that team. I think they were 1-15, 2-14 team, and in 2 years he had them in the playoffs. So he did something right when he was in Miami. Completely and totally separate, as me and you talked about off air, of the lawsuit of the racism allegations had nothing to do with the Tua situation. And for people, as you mentioned, like Stephen A. Smith, to try to put those two things together as one, they're not. They're two separate entities. So hopefully both guys can continue to succeed. Tua can continue to see as a quarterback in the NFL. Brian Flores can continue to succeed as a defensive coordinator, hopefully get another opportunity as a head coach in the NFL. I'm okay with the position that both guys have taken post the incident.
That's a great take, bro. That's a great take. But before I start, I want to give a shout out to Mike Tomlin. Shout out to Mike Tomlin for keeping Brian Flores relevant. He gave him a job, kept him relevant. He gave him a job, and gave him a chance to show what he is and who he is. And that's
shout out to my boy Titan Rosser in the house. What up, Ross? I hope you're getting better, bro. I know you had that big C last week, so get with me. Hit me on the text, and maybe we do something next week. Go ahead, brother.
And gave him an opportunity. I think he came back as linebacker coach, defensive back coach, or something like that. And then the Minnesota Vikings gave him an opportunity, defensive coordinator, and he turned that defense around last season. And I think they're going to be even better this season. I mean, Flores he come from the Bill Belichick tree. When you think about it, he's one of the few of his disciples that has been successful to some degree as a head coach or in other places for that matter. I think he learned well. He learned from this man. Again, Mike Tomlin gave him a chance to remain relevant, to still stay in the out of NFL. So he learned from this, man. Hey, man, Tua wasn't the guy he wanted from the beginning. He wanted Herbert. So, and then on top of all that stuff that's going on, then the personal thing with management, asking them to lose games, sort of in so many ways and fashion and all that there. And then you have what you consider a soft quarterback, a small quarterback. Couldn't stay on the field for whatever the reason may be. And again, man, it's tough on a rookie quarterback to come into an organization where the head coach is a defensive-minded head coach and he's not flexible. The only thing that happened, the thing that saves CJ's trial is that DeMeco Ryan was flexible. He understood what his expertise was, and he trusts who he hired to handle that offensive side of football. And I think that's what Flores ran into with Denver as a head coach. With Miami as the head coach. I don't think he trusted whomever the offense coordinator was then. I can't remember exactly who it was. But again, you wasn't getting the most out of Tua, who was undersized. So I think Flores, I think he'll get interviewed at some point if the Vikings defense stays strong. I don't think he'll be a head coach again. I just don't. NFL is still the good old boy system. It's always been a good old boy system. It's a bunch of billionaires at the top that don't look like us. That's up there. They always had that mentality, and the NFL is ran just like it was a slavery. That's how it's ran auctions and free agents and sales and things. These are human beings that we're putting money tags and prices and things on. And how you have them out there on the market like that. I know all sports does like that, but with the NFL, it just feels so Southern-like, slave-like. You get them in these, lock them into these contracts, and damn it, I ain't gonna let you go until I get what I want from you. And that's how they are, man. There's a reason why there's no one at the top of the NFL as an owner. There's nowhere even close of looking like us, even close to becoming an owner in the NFL. I don't hear you don't hear that. You hear LeBron and all those guys being going to be NBA owners at some point. Michael Jordan did that, hands off to him. He made billions and billions of dollars, and the Hornets was trash for all those years as he owned them. But he made plenty and plenty of money. We never hear about a brother being ownership or part ownership or construction ownership. Magic don't call enough shots in Washington, okay? He's just a percentage guy. He's a percentage guy with a huge following. He's not day-to-day activity, man. He's not. But that remains to be seen. That remains to be seen. But again, shout out to Flores. You get another shot. Defense get better for Minnesota. And let's see where we're going. I don't see him as a head coach anytime soon. I don't care how dominant the defense will be. I just don't think they want to hire right now, man.
Overchicken chimed in. Of course, the Mariners win, and the Astros just won tonight, 6-3 over Baltimore. So Astros stay up with 5 games over the Mariners in the East or in the West, in the American League West. Back to Brian Flores' situation. I mean, you're right. It's going to be very difficult for him to get a job. When a guy like Eric Bieniemy can't get a head coaching job for whatever reason, you think it's going to be much more difficult for Brian Flores to get a job, especially when you're suing one of the teams in the league for racism.
And the league.
So, and then those Tua comments, I think that was the nail in the coffin right there. It's like, Minnesota would have to turn into a Super Bowl contender and probably have a top 3 defense under Brian Flores for him to even get an opportunity at an interview for a head coaching job. But, we'll see how that, all shakes out in the years to come. But hopefully, like I said, both of those guys can continue to be successful in their individual positions where they are right now. Overchicken said Titans scored 30 points in the game, first time since December 2021. And again, I'm not taking anything from it because it was against a vanilla scheme in a preseason game. So we'll see what happens with that next week. I don't have a lot from around the league right now. Again, we're waiting on all the 53-man cuts. Next week, we're going to have a special Sunday night edition of the Danger Zone where we're going to go through all 8 divisions, give you our playoff predictions, our Super Bowl predictions, our MVP predictions. We're going to go through all of that next Sunday night. So join us for a special prediction show that won't be next Sunday. That will be next. We're going to have to work out the date. Either Monday night, Saturday night. Yeah, it won't be next Sunday because I have a prior engagement next Sunday. But we'll let you guys know the date. That's why you need to hit that notification bell so you get those automatic notifications.
Maybe Labor Day. Because we got a game Thursday.
It is Monday, right? Labor Day is Monday.
Yeah.
We'll have a special Labor Day edition of the Danger Zone. There you go. Special Labor Day edition of the Danger Zone. Anything else you want to check on around the NFL before we move on?
I mean, I just think that beware, man. I'm saying this, a couple teams may come out the gate slow and may not be able to climb out that hole. And one of those teams may be the San Francisco 49ers, man, with Brian Ye, with the wide receiver not practicing.
Brandon Ayuk,
Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams both not practicing. Trent still hadn't came into camp yet thus far. That could set the 49ers. I think the 49ers is going to stumble this season anyway. We'll talk about that next week again. But and also look out for the Cincinnati Bengals, man. They said Chase practiced today for the first time. That's interesting to see how much he can get in there and be ready for opening day, man. Again, so let's see how that works out, man. But those are just a couple teams that that's off the muscle that I think will have will come out slow and could potentially be in the hole very early. So we'll see which way it goes. I didn't. Your boy over Chicken said CD Lamb isn't practicing either. I think he hasn't. But even with CD Lamb on that roster, I'm picking the Cowboys to fall. I'm picking them not to even make the playoffs this season. Just from the offseason moves, even on paper, they just don't look that well on paper. So that's all I got from around the league right now. Interesting. Who's going to win the Pittsburgh Steelers starting job? I know they're going to.
That's where I was about to go.
You know,
that's where I was about to go. I think it will be Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I think Russell Wilson will win that job. Mike Tomlin said he's not going to announce anything to the end of the week. Russell, I think he only played a series. I think Justin Fields maybe played 2 or 3 series in their third preseason game. So neither one of those guys got a whole lot of work. So I think it's going to be Russ. Russ has been in the driver's seat since the beginning. And you don't start Justin Fields yet, man. You let Russ go for about 3 or 4 weeks. See if you can get that offense into a rhythm with Arthur Smith. I think the most interesting game, week 1, is going to be Pittsburgh and Arthur Smith going back to his old team to face the Atlanta Falcons.
Yes.
A lot of hype around the Atlanta Falcons this year with Kirk Cousins and Bijan Robinson. A lot of people picking them to win that division. A lot of people picking them to win anywhere from 10 to 12 games this year just because that division is so weak with the Saints and the Panthers. I think Tampa Bay is going to have something to say about that. Again, we'll get more into our predictions next week. But I think the most interesting game on the board to me in week 1 is Pittsburgh at Atlanta, because you know how Mike Tomlin is when he's an underdog. And the Steelers are probably the best underdog in the NFL, probably during the Mike Tomlin era. So that's going to be a very interesting game in week 1.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't think Atlanta itself as a whole will be ready week 1 to come at the defense that Mike Tomlin is going to put at them with Kirk Cousins not taking any preseason snaps. He is practicing, and I don't know if he if he gonna count a snap count or not in practices. I haven't been following him that far to speak on how he's running the offense in practices. But right now, I would pick the Pittsburgh Steelers just on their defensive line, that they'll beat the Atlanta Falcons opening day on the road.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be interesting. Did Tampa Bay just implode or something? Tampa had a great year last year and nearly got everyone back. Tampa's been very much under the radar, man. I don't even know if I've seen Tampa in a preseason game this year. I haven't heard anything come out of Tampa Bay. Still got Todd Bowles. You still got Baker Mayfield. Mike Evans came back at wide receiver. Still got a pretty good defense. You know, they're just kind of more of a vanilla team. They don't get a lot of hype. Obviously, since Tom Brady's gone, they're back to being, indescript, team, small market team. So they're not going to get a lot of hype unless they, start off strong, and then you'll start seeing a little bit more on Tampa. But, I think they're going to be competitive in that NFC South with Atlanta.
Yeah, I think they're going to be competitive in that South, in that division, and nothing beyond that. I think the team and the structure of the team was built to pretty much be the same team 2 years after Tom Brady leave. This team was still put in place to still be competitive, and if they get a break here, to be a contender. And that's what they've been since Brady left there. They've been a playoff team, protege of a weak division. I'm not taking nothing away from Baker. I think Baker earned $100 million. He got $25 a year, whatever it may be. I think he earned that. Mike Evans, I wish we could have got him for a 2-year stint down here. I really preferred him over Stephon Diggs. I really did. But again, that's not a here or there. But again, I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are being overlooked, and rightfully so overlooked. I think they're a 6 or 7, 8 win team at its best. The defense has fell apart. It's not that defense that was pretty good when Brady had his 2-3 year run with the team. And I just think they lost they lost the linebacker Devin White, who now signed with the Eagles, if I'm not mistaken. He signed with
Yeah, I
one of
think
them.
so. Yeah, I think
So
so.
they lost him. They lost the corner. They started corner, Carlton Davis. They traded him to the Detroit Lions in the offseason. So let's just see which way that defense go. Todd Bowles, that is his neck of the woods, being on the defensive side of the ball. But again, they're more prone to come out the gate a little bit quicker than I think the Atlanta Falcons will. So that's interesting to see. Again, the first 4 weeks of the season is so important, Ken, to a mass amount of the teams in the league. It's very important, man, and how you start. And so you have room. You have room for a bad game. You have room to take caught up with you. You just it's important to come out the gate well, man. And again, I don't think a lot of those teams right now that has these guys holding out going to come out the gate too well.
Gotcha, man. Well, hey, man, let's go on and dive into our next subject that we wanted to hit on tonight. We're about an hour into the show. Definitely don't want to stay too long. But big shakeup over at Fox Sports 1 is going to begin after Labor Day. I think September 2nd, September 3rd. This is what their new lineup is going to look like. They got a new breakfast ball show that they call it. That's going to be beginning from, again, these times are Eastern times, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. That's going to have Mark Schlereth and some guy from Chicago. I forgot his name. I've seen him a couple of times on the show. It looks like he was pretty good. So that'll be going head to head against Get Up. From 10 a.m. to noon, which is 9 a.m. to 11 Central Time, they're going to have the faculty. No, I'm sorry. The facility is going to be the name of that show. I'm not sure where they got that name from because it sounds too much like faculty. The facility. Yeah. So you got Shady, Hacho, and James Jones. Chase Daniels, the former backup quarterback with the Saints, will also join that show. So they're basically taking 3 guys from the afternoon show of Speak, moving them to the mornings to go head-to-head against First Take. Their 2 mainstay shows stay exactly the same. Colin Cowherd, midday from noon to 3, 11 to 2 Central. And then First Things First with Nick Wright, Kevin Wiles, and Chris Broussard. They stay in their same time slot untouched from 3 to 5 Eastern, 2 to 4 Central. The person who I really thought got the short end of the stick was Joy Taylor. She remains in that 5 o'clock to 7 p.m. time slot, 4 to 6 Central. But now she's joined by Keyshawn Johnson and Paul Pierce, 2 of the 3 members of the morning show with Skip Bayless that could not get any audience at all. And that's the reason why that show is no longer on the air. So Joy becomes kind of the point person in the late evening.
She's the host.
She becomes the point person in the late evening show. Acho remains the point person in the morning show now. You kind of split them up and try to let them hit their own ship. But in my opinion, Joy Taylor really got the short end of the stick here. I am not a fan of Paul Pierce. I don't think he's very knowledgeable about anything other than basketball, and I don't even trust his basketball acumen, to be honest. I still like the midday shows, Colin, First Things First. But these other shows, man, I just don't know. I
Well. The first thing that I've done that I would have done was First Thing First will be in my 9 o'clock hour or 8 o'clock hour, whatever hour you want to call it, because that is the show that I would put up against First Take. That's the show right there that I would put up against First Take. Now with Craig Carlton was on it was the Carlton show. They came on like about 5 o'clock in the morning. It was him and Plexico Burris, Eddie House, Tim Hardaway, and Greg Jennings appeared in and out of there too sometimes. So they were on very early, kind of like what Canty them is over in ESPN, you know. But and I don't like the facility. I don't like that makeup. I mean, your boy Osho, man, he all right, but he kind of burned a little bridges with me on the cool. I don't think Shady is enough. I don't know if it's his personality or what. It's just something about Shady. I just don't feel him on air. You know, I don't feel him on air.
Shady's a little cocky, man. Shout out to my boys over at Titan Coliseum, man. Make sure you guys check out the Titan Coliseum. What up, bro?
What's up, boy? Shout out to you. Shout out to everyone that's just joined us in.
But yeah, man, I'm okay with Shady. I take him for what he's worth. Acho, Acho's kind of, look, he's a Texas. He went to University of Texas, so I'm always rooting for Acho. But if I could say anything to Acho, and look, man, you're on a much bigger platform than the Danger Zone. Much bigger platform.
It's not even where they're talking about.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But the only thing I would say, man, is that every show is not the biggest show of the week. Because you start every show, this is the biggest show of the day. This is the biggest show of the week. And I know you're trying to differentiate your show from the other shows. But, bro, it's another daily show. Just keep it 100. You don't have to go over the top. I know that's what Stephen A does, but you got to be different. You got to be different. You got to be yourself. And the thing for me in these shows, man, it doesn't matter if it's a podcast. There are certain podcasts I watch. There are certain podcasts I don't watch.
Absolutely.
I hope that people watch our podcast because I always want to come across as authentic. I always want to come across as being authentic. Whether it's about the Titans, whether it's about the Astros, whether it's about the Texans, whatever it is. Yeah, we have our little funds and we jab and, we got our favorite teams in this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day,
keep it real.
I want people to watch us because that they believe that we're authentic. And I watch all other shows for their authenticity. If I think you just on the air because you're just trying to get clicks and likes, I'm not watching that. I don't watch Gilbert Arenas. Because in my opinion, Gilbert Arenas is on for clicks and likes, and he just says a lot of outrageous shit. I'll watch Carmelo Anthony podcast. I'll watch The Pivot because I'm learning something. I'm learning something that I didn't already know. I'm not watching you for hot takes. I quit watching Stephen A. Smith. I was a big fan of Stephen A. Smith. I've almost kind of turned off First Take now because I don't feel like it's authentic anymore. I watch it on Wednesdays during the Mad Dog segment, but I don't really watch it anymore because I think the authenticity of the show is gone. And that's the same way I kind of feel about Acho. I don't always feel like his takes and his presentations are authentic. That's just me and how I perceive and how I choose to watch what I watch.
Right. And you're right. But I don't my dislike of not following Osho for my point of view, it was this right here. It's never the topics or what they're talking about because the producers and all the things going to tell them what they're going to talk about in which hours and everything because they're trying to get ratings, throughout the hour of the day. So I'm not gonna blast them for that. But what I will blast them for on that matter is this right here: is that you can control the narrative of what you're saying and how many times you're saying it. You can. Now, even though we talking at the top of the hour about the Cavaliers here, and the second part of the hour, we're going to bring them back and talking to them about this. You have the narratives You are the one that's sitting in that seat. And you can make it perfectly clear to the audience and everyone around you that you're kind of tired of this conversation too as well. But that's the reason why they talk about the Lakers. And we don't talk about the Yankees. And we don't talk about the Dodgers. Because that's what the producers tell them to talk about. That's what the people in head of charge tell them to talk about. And they are what the world is talking about. So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to say authentic, but when you get to know the person himself, then you can kind of say, well, you know what, he kind of like me, Big Perk. Big Perk shouldn't be on TV.
And see, me and you differ on that. But go ahead, I'll come back at you.
We're gonna use Big Perk. He's Texas boy, H-Town boy. Lives. He shouldn't be on TV because he doesn't have a very, very high vocabulary. He doesn't, and sometimes he really sound southern. I'm gonna put it like that. Sometimes he really come off as southern. And a lot of that is not him not knowing what he's talking about. It's him not finding the proper words to explain and to describe what he's talking about and how he feel about a topic. It's kind of like they shoving Big Perk down our throat for whatever the reason may be. You know, and so that's my thing with him with Perk is that I think he's trying to make he trying to make every quote a splash, like you say your boy do. He try to make every topic every segment has to be a splash, and I don't think he has that. That's not his character. You know, go ahead and break the game down and give your point of view, but you don't have to add no mustard to it. Just be you. You know, so that's my take on that, big bro.
Yeah, see, I feel different about Perk. When Perk first got on TV, I was like, man, what is Perk doing on TV? Because like you said, you know, as far as his speech and vocabulary and things like that, but the more I kept listening to him and the things he had to say, the more I appreciated his authenticity. Like, hey, man, he probably didn't study journalism and wasn't a journalist. Probably wasn't even his thought to ever be on TV on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
But he's opinionated and he gives a good point of view from, hey, I wasn't a superstar, but I was a role player on some championship teams, and I played my part on those teams. And so I respect and rather listen to Kendrick Perkins 100 times a day, a week, more than I would Paul Pierce.
Definitely, man. I mean, it's nothing about Paul Pierce that I have good to say about him as an analyst and a commentary, man. It's just nothing about him. I can live with Keyshawn. But Paul Pierce, I wouldn't even give him a tryout, man. Just to be honest, man, I wouldn't give him a tryout. I just don't like his whole approach to TV, for that matter. TV, you know,
the presentation,
yes,
the dress,
yeah,
the energy, the acumen. When I watch you, I need to feel like you watched the game that I watch. Not that you just woke up and looked at the box score and drew an opinion. And that's how I kind of feel about Stephen A. right now, you know, just kind of switching over to ESPN. And of course, I do college football for ESPN. So if people don't like the way I do college football, I respect that. You know, we all in this medium, we all in this space, and, you know, and everybody likes what they like. These are just my opinions. Mm-hmm. Is that, like I said, I've always been a big fan of Stephen A., but now I don't know if I'm getting that authenticity, because I'm like, man, when you talk about a guy like Quentin Grimes, you're a New York Knicks fan, and halfway through during the season, you're giving commentary about the New York Knicks, talking about Quentin Grimes, and Quentin Grimes has been off the team for 2 months. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. You was talking screaming and hollering about Russell Wilson last week with the Pittsburgh Steelers taking sacks. But did you watch the game? Did you listen to Coach Mike Tomlin? When he couldn't even drop back in the pocket and pass gas before he had two linemen in his face. So when you make those kind of comments, that tells me that you didn't watch the game. You're just listening to other people pile on Russell Wilson. So now you're just going to pile on Russell Wilson. So it's just those type of things that where you can tell when somebody's actually engaged in something. Like I'm never going to come over here and say, hey, I watched the Texans game and I want to give an opinion when I didn't watch the damn game. Now, why aren't you? You watched the Texans yesterday? I didn't watch them yesterday, so I can't have an opinion on what the Texans did yesterday because I didn't watch them yesterday. So I'm not going to come over here and pretend like I did and open up the box score and say, oh, you know what, Todd Bowles, and I don't even know if that's his first name, was 11 for 18, and he looked great. Well, hell, they all may have been checks downs to the running back and tight end, so I don't know how he looked.
And that was a huge mark for Stephen A. Smith. I remember when he first come on ESPN, he had a segment on Tuesday mornings. They gave him about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And he talked about the NBA, and I fell for him for ever since that point on. What we're seeing from Stephen A. Smith right now, what I'm seeing, I'm like you. I don't like that. And I think what turned me off ever since the Monica McNutt incident, it kind of like from that point on, it's like he's going out and beyond to show that he quote support his fellow brothers and sisters to exceed in this industry that they call media. So. And I think ever since she accused him of not being a follower of WNBA until as of recently, I think he been fighting that and challenging that from every aspect ever since that went down. And I still don't think right now that he's completely comfortable with that. And we'll start seeing how much more of Monica McNutt that we will see on First Take or any other segment of ESPN for that matter. I just think that issue is not over. I really don't think it is, and I think we'll may see that somewhere along the line. I would love to see Monica McNutt on FSI and give her a shot. Give her the same shot that Joy Taylor got. I think she's knowledgeable. I love her. I love her commentary. Love her authenticity. She's real. Unlike some that I don't like, Kimberly A. Martin, I don't like her. I don't like anything about her.
You know what I don't like? I don't like Kimberly Martin either.
I don't like her. I don't like anything about her. It's nothing legitimate about her. It's nothing authentic about her that I see. And I'm not taking. She's maybe very knowledgeable because you see she's been a reporter for the Jets and for the Washington Commanders, and she's been around. So I'm not taking nothing from her journey and thing. I just don't like her. I just think she's a terrible on-screen personality, and I can't relate to her, and I just can't. So again, like you say, everybody like their own and thing, but for the most part, man, I think we all hit it on the money when we are off by a particular commentator, and we pretty much are off for the same reason. But again, I just think that what Fox doing right now, again, Joy, I totally agree with. She got the short end of the stick. She's getting to be the host, like she should have been from the beginning. Even with Osho, I think that's the beginning of the end with Skip when he started off the show with a host, and then he ended that, and then his next go round on Undisputed, he decided to be the host himself, and you can't do that. You can't. It doesn't mix because it's two roles, two different personalities, two different insight. Yep. So that was the beginning and end of that with him. So I think that Skip kind of buried himself. I always like Skip Bayless. You know, I always like Skip Bayless. I know he's an asshole to a lot of them, but he stands stern on what he believed in, what he thought. And he thought LeBron was overrated, and he's going to go to his grave saying LeBron is overrated. He'll never surpass Michael Jordan. that's how he feel about LeBron. He's adamant about that. He's a true Spur and Cowboy fan. So you know how he goes all the way in on his team. But for the most part, man, I was a fan of Skip Bayless. I hate what happened to him with Shannon and things, but I don't think that right there was the rating, was a downfall in the ratings. It may have been a downfall in that working relationship, but I think the downfall of the ratings came when he became the host of the show. When he became the host of the show, that's where he lost it at, because you can't do both.
Yeah, and
So,
for that, I think for Joy Taylor, unfortunately,
Punk, you're in the danger zone. You're in the danger.
it's not Joy Taylor's fault. She's just in the danger zone right now because I don't know. Here's the thing about television. On one hand, and I'm going to bring the graphic back up. On one hand, the show itself, Speak, is in a good spot because it's following the herd and it's following First Things First. And both of those shows have high ratings right now. So they're going to get some bleed over audience just from First Things First being the lead-in show. The question is, can they keep the audience? That's going to be the question. Can they keep the audience from changing the channel over to ESPN? I think they have around the horn and then PTI at 4:30. So can they keep the audience engaged? I doubt if they keep me engaged. I know they won't keep me engaged. And I work from home, so I'm watching this stuff every day. I'll probably be changing the channel, and I don't even watch Around the Horn. You know, I'll go back and watch something else. But that will be the question. And again, what role will she be? Will she still be able to give her opinions and give her takes? Because I think she's a very beautiful woman, but she's also a very intelligent woman who has some very strong takes, and she's got a really good on-air personality, unlike Kimberly A. Martin, as you mentioned, right? So I think that's going to be interesting. Keyshawn Johnson, he has a big personality. He's kind of hit and miss on his takes, but he's knowledgeable. But you know, he's Keyshawn. Keyshawn is Keyshawn.
ESPN at 3:00 has the NFL Live, and they go from 3 to 4. And so I think First Thing First will be able to handle that. They got Around the Horn at 4:00, and they got Pardon the Interruption at 4:30.
Right.
Now, in the beginning, just right off the bat, Joy can handle both of those shows because they're both 30-minute shows. She can handle them shows.
Right.
Out the gate, I don't know if she can maintain it alone. You know, and again, that's where she got a bad draw of the stick at with Paul Pierce. They could have brought James Jones over. They could have did anyone but Paul Pierce, man, for this job right here, man. And I don't look to see him in that role very long. I really don't, because I don't think that he's going to be. I think the numbers going to.
I think it's going to be for a year.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be for a year.
I give him that, man.
And then they may have to reshuffle the deck again next summer.
Yeah. Well, again, like I said, if I want to put a show up against, First Take, it would have been First Thing First. I think they on a roll. I love Colin. I think Colin could go one-on-one against First Take. I really do. I like Colin. A lot of people don't like his little co-host J Mac. A lot of people don't like him. Yeah, Kevin Durant is one of them who don't like him for whatever.
I like J Mac a little bit, man. J Mac is different.
I like J Mac, man. So
I like J Mac.
Shout out to Colin for reaching back, getting his boy and making his boy relevant and hanging on to him, man. So that by itself is a win to me. But I think the first show and the last show could be the shows that don't live up to what they're expected of. I think they may get by with the 8 o'clock show, with the breakfast game, whatever they call it on FS1 with Craig Carlton doing it now. They may be able to battle will get up on ESPN. That remains to be seen. But again, Joy, she caught the short end of the bargain. But hey, man, she's a beautiful lady. She's knowledgeable. She's educational. She has an on-screen personality. She's well connected. I think she's there for the long run, but I don't think either one of those guys will be there as long as her stay will be. I really don't.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right on that.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, let's wrap it up, man. Quick, college football got underway yesterday. Florida State lost to Georgia Tech. That was somewhat of an upset, quote unquote upset. I watched most of that ball game. Georgia Tech looked really, really good yesterday. Next week, all the big boys are in action. You got a full slate of football games from next Thursday through Saturday. Florida A&M began SWAC play last night. Of course, for those that don't know, yes, I covered the SWAC for ESPN college football. So I'll begin my broadcast season. I'll begin my high school schedule next week following Oak Ridge here in the Woodlands area. And then my first college football game as of right now will be Prairie View and Grambling in Dallas on September 28th at the Cotton Bowl. I may have some games trickle in before that, but that's my first game on my schedule. Florida A&M, they beat Norfolk State last night in the MEAC SWAC Challenge. My team, Texas Longhorns, we've already suffered 2 of our best running backs are out for the year. Texas, preseason top 3, top 4 team, expected to battle for a national championship. Any early season thoughts, man? I'm just so ready for college football, man. I was in front of the TV all day yesterday. I was watching Montana State and New Mexico.
I just got one thing right now, and that's just keeping it in the state of Texas and talking about the Longhorn. What are they going to do with the young Manning kid? What are they going to do with him, man?
He's backup. What do you mean? What they're going to do with him?
I mean, this is his second season.
Yeah.
And he couldn't beat out Urine yet. He couldn't beat him out.
He's not supposed to. Yours is going to be a first-round pick. That's why yours came back to school. And it's okay. Manning needs to sit and learn.
I'm all right with you saying that. But
he needs to sit and learn.
Yeah. I mean, I like him too. I want to see.
You know what I like about him? He's not one of those kids that just picked up and said, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna hit the transfer portal."
No.
Now I'm going to Texas. I understand I got to sit for 2 years. He knew that coming in, he was gonna have to sit for 2 years. So there's no dissension. There's no misunderstanding. And if something happens to Quinn Ewers, then he's ready to go.
Well, that's what I'm kind of waiting in the woods for, just to see how this Manning kid turns out. But again, if your starting quarterback is balling like he did last season, man, we won't see him hit the field this season neither as well. But I'm looking forward to the Longhorns joining the SEC. They got some games against Michigan this season. They got some good games to just show do they belong with the big boys. So that remains to be seen. Let's hope that they can do something with them running backs that them went down, man. I think the guy Brooks, I think he turned pro. Didn't he come to the NFL this season? The running back.
Yeah, Jonathan Brooks, he's with Carolina.
Carolina, as I thought. So
yeah, he got hurt last year, halfway through the season.
Yeah,
and I think that really cost us a shot at the national championship. Because we had a couple of fumbles in that Washington game in the playoff that I don't think would have happened if Brooks was there. So I'm really concerned about the running back position. Hell, I had to go back and check and see if I had any eligibility left. But I can't run a 4.5 anymore, so that's out the window.
Yeah, okay. All right, bro. Well, I know they got your highlights. They're looking at them every day. I know they're looking at them every day. So, hey, look at here. Keep your phone open, man. Give him a shout out.
Man, it's out. The phone is out, bro.
Just in case they done forgot your number. Give him your number again. He's woke, y'all. But again, man, hey, man, It's always a pleasure sitting down with you, big bro, man. I enjoyed the show today, man. And I'm right with you, man. Hallelujah. Football season's back.
Football season is back, my brother. Football season is back, man. Well, hey, man, we definitely thank everybody for chiming in tonight. We went about an hour and a half tonight, and we had a lot of good stuff to talk about. Again, no show next Sunday. We'll be back Labor Day, next Monday night. So after you grilled it up on the grill, all that good stuff, you watched all your college football, we'll break down all the big college football games from next weekend, and then we'll have our NFL prediction show next Monday night here on the network. Thank you, brother, for joining in tonight. I appreciate you.
See you when I see you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, everybody, we are out. We will see you guys next Monday night. Have a blessed week. We're out.